public hearing on the committee's rules is called to order pursuant to applicable law and my determination that attendance by remote means is necessary because an in-person meeting is not practical or prudent due to the declared public health disaster caused by COVID-19. This meeting is being conducted by video conference. I'll now call the roll. Please mute your microphone so you can answer as I call you out. Starting with Vice Chairman O'Shea. Vice Chairman Villegas.
Present.
Vice Chairman Napolitano. Alderman Espada.
Present.
Alderman Hopkins.
Present, Madam Chair, and welcome back, Felix.
Alderman Dow.
Here.
Alderman King.
Present.
Alderman Hairston.
Present.
Alderman Sawyer. Alderman Mitchell. Alderman Beal. Alderman Salarski Garza.
Present.
Alderman Thompson.
Here.
Alderman Cardenas. Alderman Quinn.
Here.
Alderman Burke. Alderman Lopez.
Alive and kicking, Madam Chairman.
Yes, you are. Alderman Coleman.
Present.
Alderman Moore. Alderman Curtis. Alderwoman Taylor. Alderman Brookins. Alderman Rodriguez. Alderman Tabares.
Present.
Alderman Scott. Alderman Cicho Lopez.
Present, Madam Chair.
Alderman Maldonado.
Here.
Alderman Burnett.
Present.
Alderman Irving.
Yeah, Alderman Irving is present.
Alderman Talaferro. Alderman Raboris.
Present.
Alderman Cardona is here.
Glad to be back. Thank you, everybody.
Alderman Wagispack.
I'm present.
Alderman Rodriguez Sanchez.
Here.
Alderman Austin.
Here.
Okay. Alderman Ramirez Rosa.
Present.
Alderman Mitz. Alderman Sposato.
Nick Sposato's here.
Alderman Nugent.
Present.
Alderman Vasquez.
Present.
Alderman Riley. Alderman Smith.
Present.
Alderman Tunney. Alderman Gardner.
Present.
Alderman Kappelman.
Present.
Alderman Martin.
Present.
Alderman Osterman.
Present.
Alderman Haddon. Alderwoman Haddon. And Alderman Silverstein.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Alderman David Moore is present.
Alderman Moore is present.
Alderman O'Shea is present.
Alderman. Vice Chairman O'Shea is present. Is it anybody else that would like to be recorded as present? We have 34 members present. So we have a quorum. At this time, we have 7 public speakers. Out of respect for everybody's time, they'll be limited to 3 minutes. And our first speaker is Lucy Stanfield. Lucy, are you there? Lucy is not there. Georgetta Frost. Georgetta Frost, are you there?
Please press *6 to unmute.
Georgetta?
Hi, can you hear me?
Now we can hear you. Thank you.
Perfect. Perfect. Ladies and gentlemen of the Chicago City Council, my name is Georgette Foss. I sit on the executive committee of United Northwest Side. We are an independent political organization which promotes people power on the far Northwest side. Our organization rejects the draft ward map negotiated behind closed doors in the City Council Rules Committee. Lacking any response to public input or robust public engagement, a primary goal of the map is neutralizing political opposition to sitting alders and removing perceived opponents from their wards. Far from empowering committees through fair and equal representation, this gerrymandered map divides communities to dilute their political impact and preventing our neighbors' voices from being heard. Because it pits the interests of members of the City Council against those of the communities they represent, we urge our elected leaders to vote no on this proposed map. Thank you for your time and Happy New Year.
Thank you. I noticed that Alderman Taveras has her hands up, and Alderman Bill, would you like to be recommended for the forum, Paul?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. You are. Alderman Taveras? Okay, our next speaker is Nancy Plax.
Sorry, Madam Chair. I'll wait after the public comment. This is Alderman Taveras. Thank you.
Okay. Nancy? Can you please unmute yourself?
Nancy, you are unmuted, but we can't hear you. You might have another mute button or a mic button on your device. You can also press *6 to unmute.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes. Okay.
Wonderful. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nancy Plax. I'm a resident of the University Village community. I have been very involved with the community for the past 15 years in living here. I have worked directly with the Smith School, the Barbara Jean Wright community, and the George Collins homes, which are slated to, with one of the maps, to go into the 28th Ward right across the street from where we live, which would be going into the 25th Ward. I bring this to your attention because Alderman Sigchild Lopez of the 25th Ward has been very involved with both the Barbara Jean Wright community, the Smith School, and the Collins community. And he's been very familiar with the issues there. With the Rose Company's purchase of the Barbara Jean Wright community, many improvements have been proposed by Rose that will help the community and in turn enhance the safety of our University Commons, University Village community. Our community, the University Commons, University Village community, needs one alderman to take all of the safety concerns of every community to heart. We can't divide Barbara Jean Wright and the University Commons Village communities between two alderpersons. This would not be productive for our entire neighborhood. So my ask is that all of these communities go into the 25th Ward. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Levi Todd.
Good morning, you all. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Levi Todd, and thank you all for your time today. I'm a lifelong resident of Logan Square and a community organizer with United Neighbors of the 35th Ward. I'd like to express concern with the proposed Rules Committee map, specifically as it applies to my community. Under the current Rules Committee map, Logan Square would be divided into 5 wards. This is deeply troubling, especially given the rampant gentrification that's been displacing our longtime residents from our community for decades. Having 5 different wards in a high interest neighborhood for developers, meaning following 5 different zoning processes, that make it difficult for community residents to participate in those zoning processes and share their vision for a contiguous neighborhood with 5 different alders. Additionally, this makes it more difficult for residents to access city services, given the confusion of understanding who their alder would be when you walk from Armitage to Logan Boulevard and cross 3 different ward boundaries. Additionally, I'd like to share my experience as a community organizer who regularly walks the community and talks to neighbors about the issues impacting them in the Hermosa neighborhood. Hermosa is one of Chicago's smallest neighborhoods, yet it has one of the densest populations, with many low-income and Spanish-speaking families. The 60639 zip code is one of the areas with the highest rates of COVID spread and deaths. When we talk to Hermosa residents, they feel completely disconnected from the political process, specifically because of how confusing it is to understand who their electeds are and how to get city services. The current Rules Committee map would split Hermosa into 4 wards, some with only a 2-block width in the neighborhood. Lastly, I'm concerned that in our community, it was incredibly difficult to get residents to complete the census. However, we were pleased to see relatively high completion, and the data shows that with updated population counts, the Latino community in Chicago deserves 15 Latino wards, and the Rules Committee map only allocates this community 14. I'm concerned that this sends a message to our community that their participation in the census was not necessary, and that decisions about representation don't go off of the data that was so difficult to collect in the first place. Bottom line, I'm concerned that this ward map would make our role as community organizers trying to connect residents to city services and the political process more difficult, and that it would be difficult for residents to organize around the issues that are most important to them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Steve Burrows.
Yes.
Go ahead, Steve.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I
Thank
can.
you. Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to the members of the committee this morning. As you heard, my name is Steve Burrows, and I'm a lifelong resident of the 11th Ward. I was born and raised in Armour Square Park. My wife was born and raised in Bridgeport. Her father, in fact, still lives in the same apartment where she was raised. After we were married in 1999 and had our first child in 2000, we discovered some brand new homes that were being built just to the south of us in Canaryville, and purchased our first home there in 2001. We have lived in that same home for 20 years, raised all 3 of our children there. I'm an attorney here in Chicago. My wife is a preschool teacher with CPS, and my family and I are very troubled by the possible remapping of Canaryville from the 11th Ward. The 11th Ward has always been our home. We chose to raise our kids there, send our kids to the same schools we attended, go to the church, the same churches that we grew up in, because the 11th Ward is a true community in every sense of the word. It might be made up of different neighborhoods with different names, but we have always been one community. Community where your neighbors are friends, and those friends become family. Community where your neighbor will shovel your sidewalk, pick up your mail when you're out of town. Community that celebrates together in times of joy, and a community that is always, and I really mean always, there for each other in times of distress. And there's countless times that I could think of in my 49 years in the Bridgeport and Canaryville and 11th Ward community where this has happened. In these unprecedented times of trouble, it is really vital to keep communities like this together. We need our neighbors more than ever. The 11th Ward needs to remain connected with neighbors that truly care about the fortunes of each other, that are always there to lend a hand, always there to give their time or their treasure to help each other out. I fear that sense of community will forever be broken if Canaryville is torn away from the 11th Ward, and will cause irreparable harm to Canaryville and the 11th Ward. And I ask respectfully that the current map that is proposed be rejected. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is William Dawes, not here. Okay, our next speaker is Pat McCarthy. Pat
Thank
McCarthy.
you for the opportunity.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you guys today. First off, I'd like to talk about the 11th Ward remapping, parts of Canaryville being taken away from the 11th Ward. I'm a lifelong resident of Canaryville. Canaryville's a small neighborhood within the 11th Ward. We've worked long and hard to create a good and stable working relationship with the 11th Ward to get the services and needs that we need for our residents. Through the years, we've come together with Bridgeport, parts of Chinatown, to come together as one. We're a common goal to raise our families in a good neighborhood, churches and schools. Any part of Canaryville being taken away from that is kind of like a slap in our face. We want to stay as one. We've never asked to change or anything, and we'd like to move forward as part of the 11th Ward. Coach football for over 20 years in the 11th Ward, kids from Bridgeport and Canaryville coming together as one, and we want to stay as one as a ward too. I think that's pretty much it. Old saying, if it ain't broke, don't go try fixing it. Please leave Canaryville alone inside the 11th Ward. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes our public speakers. The committee also received by email and postal mail written comments which have been shared with the committee members. So this concludes the public comment portion of our meeting today. I just kind of want to start off and say that first of all, welcome back. I hope everybody got rest and during our holiday weekends or the weeks that we were off, and that we're ready to come back and get started to finish our mapping process. And I'm looking forward to all of us working together to get that done so that we can move our city forward and really concentrate on some real issues that are before us and before the city of Chicago. So I want to say that thank you everybody for being here this morning. And there's some hands that were up, but I want to recognize some people that just, Alderman Berg, Alderman Taylor, and Alderman Tunney.
And Alderman Taliaferro.
And Alderman Taliaferro.
Thank you, Chairman.
So if
you get Alderman Mitts too.
Yes, ma'am, we have you, Alderman Mitts.
Thank you.
So Alderman Tabares had a question. And so then I'm gonna follow by Alderman Sposato.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to make a motion to accept documents that have been emailed to the Rules Committee and to the public record.
They are, but they're part of, you don't have to motion it, they are part of the public. All the documents that we send to you are part of the public process anyway, and they're part of the public record.
Okay, can you verify?
It's always been that way, that any documents that we acknowledge during the process are all public documents.
Could you verify?
They'll be part of, also, they would be part of the court stenographer's process. She would have them in there as documents too. So email documents are part of that process. So you're more than welcome to look at the transcripts. They're part of a public document.
Okay, Madam Chair, would you be able to verify that it's the letter that I sent you right before the holidays? Is that the document that you have before you that is into the public record?
No, is that the letter that you want to make part of the public record?
Yes,
is
both
that
of our
the letter
letters.
you're referring to?
Yes, both of our letters. I'd like to make a motion for the chair of the Rules Committee to accept it into the public record.
Okay, does everyone have a copy of both letters? I think you have to wait. Everybody may not have a copy. Was it emailed to everybody?
Yes, Madam Chair, we emailed it during the public comment. So the beginning of the Rules Committee, we emailed it. I just want to make sure that we accept it into the public record.
I'll make sure that we email our letter was not emailed to everybody. So I mean, I'll be happy to email it to the body. But currently my letter has not been emailed to every member of the city council. But if the rest of the body has no problem with them being part of the public, and does anybody, I see hands are up, so
I second that motion, Madam Chairman.
got your second, but let's hear what, Alderman Lopez, are you on that motion?
Yes, Madam Chairman, and all members have been emailed both letters, yours and the committees as well as
Okay.
the coalition.
Oh, so you all mailed the letter. They mailed my letter to everybody. Okay,
Yeah.
Alderman Thompson.
Yeah, hi, thank you, Madam Chair. I'm at a loss. What letter are we talking about? I haven't seen it.
Okay, Alderman
Check your email,
Tavares
Pat.
sent me a
Pardon?
letter stating what processes they wanted to outline for their process at the map room. And so I emailed my response back to her. So that's the letter that is the two letters that are in response. So I'm actually, as the chair, going to put that on hold until everybody can get to their email, take a look at it, and have a chance to look at both the letters. Not that it's a big deal about making it part of the public record. It's just my response to them and their initial letter that they sent me. Okay.
Chairman, Alderwoman had
So,
like to be
I'm sorry, if I
recorded
can
for,
finish, please.
Wait.
If I can finish, please.
Mm.
So
Okay.
is there any action that the committee needs to take?
No action. It's just accepting the letters into the public record.
Okay, so these were sent, like anyone from the public could submit a letter.
No,
as
this
part
is.
of- No, I'm
okay.
just saying, I mean, so anyone that submits a letter as part of this public hearing, that
Yeah.
letter would be received and then made public because it's part of the public record.
Yes, it is.
Okay,
So all written correspondence and along with all public testimony as part of the public record.
and that's all that Alderman Tavares was clarifying?
No,
Okay,
no, she's talking about a letter that she sent to me over the Christmas break. They sent me a letter outlining some processes that they wanted the Rules Committee to be a part of. And so I sent a response back to her. So that is two letters, their letter to me and my response letter back to them.
okay, but that's
Which
not.
it-
Okay.
I mean, in the grand scale of things, it's just two communications to from the Latino
Okay.
caucus to me and my response
Okay.
back to them.
I was just handed, we got it 9 minutes ago, so. Okay,
Exactly.
I'll take, I just didn't know if we needed to take action. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, next on that, Alderman Wagisback.
Thanks, Chairwoman. I was just trying to figure out if Alderman Thompson was asking why we were taking a vote, but if we're not and it's just on the record, I think that's more appropriate. Thanks.
Yeah, I just think we're gonna accept it into the record, if everybody's okay with that. And now Alderman Hatton.
thanks, Chair. Just wanted to be recognized for quorum.
Okay, Alderman Hatton. Okay, Alderman Spizzato, are you on this motion or did you have a separate question?
Separate question, just really a comment, not a question, but if we're still on this, I'm fine waiting.
Okay, Alderman Tavares.
Madam Chair, I like to speak after the correspondence has been accepted into the public record. I like to speak on the matter.
Okay, Alderman Rodriguez.
Just want to be recognized for quorum, Madam Chair.
Okay, you're in. Alderman Cardenas.
Madam, same thing.
Okay, Alderman Cardenas.
Same here, Sawyer.
Alderman Sawyer.
Same here.
Alderman, who is that? I'm sorry. Alderman Sawyer.
Alderman Sawyer, that's all. Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Alderman Taliaferro.
Yes, Madam Chair. If I could request that the letter be sent to me as well. I've checked my emails and I have not received it as of yet.
Which
I'd like
letter,
to take a view of it.
Chris?
The one that I apologize, the letters that you were referring to a few minutes
Okay.
ago.
Okay, So before we can speak to it, all members of the body have to receive the letter before we start talking about something on a public record. So could we move on and then come back to this, Alderman Taveras, until all members have received a copy of the letters?
I would like to speak on the matter.
Hold that thought. Okay, Alderman Ramirez Rosa.
Yes, Chairwoman, I would just like to state that the letter was sent from Micaela Vargas to the alderman at cityofchicago.org. And I know that goes directly to my inbox, so I've received the letter, and I believe all 50 aldermen should have received the letter as well.
Okay. Alderman Hatton. Your hand's
I only
still up.
forgot to take my hand down, sorry.
Okay, thanks. Okay. Any more comments? Alderman Patrick Daly Thompson, do you still have a comment?
Well, I do. I just was handed this, and I just want to be clear what we're doing here, because there's a lot of shells in this letter. So we're not accepting the substantive of this letter, and I want to make sure there's no. Why are we making correspondence? I don't understand this. So is every correspondence now going to have to be made public?
It's up to the body and whatever the body decides. Do you all want to vote it up or vote it down? It's up to you guys. I'll just have a roll call vote on it as it's 2 letters sent to 2 aldermen.
Right. Why are we? They're asking you as chairman.
Right, exactly.
But there's a whole lot of shells. So I just want to make sure that in voting, we're not agreeing with or perceived to be agreeing with this.
Madam Chairman, if I can.
You can't. I'm gonna call you in order. Alderman Smith.
Thanks,
Chair, I just want to note that I don't have it. I don't have the letter. I'm looking in my City of Chicago email. I'm looking in my own email, and I did not receive it. So if someone could please forward it to me at aldsmith@ward43.org, that would be great.
Okay, now Alderman Beal.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Madam Chairman, this is just accepting a document into the record. We have done that seamlessly forever, and I don't know what the big issue is about just accepting something into the record. This is not a vote. This is not. Let me finish.
And it's not, Alderman.
Let me finish. Can I finish?
Yeah, go ahead, Alderman.
We're not voting on anything. We're not taking any action. This is just a motion to accept some documents into the record, into the Rules Committee. This is seamlessly, and I think we're making more out of this than it needs to be.
Here's the problem, Alderman Beal, that you all make a big deal about getting stuff ahead of time before the meeting happens.
We're not voting on it.
I didn't have it. I didn't read it. I didn't see it. So you wanted to talk about, now Alderman Taveras wants to talk about a document that everybody hasn't received. So I'm just
Madam
making
Chair,
a
if I
statement.
may, Madam Chair, in response to that, if I may.
Wait,
before the
Alderman, you don't have the floor. Please. Alderman, wait just 1 minute. Alderman Hairston.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm checking with my office. I've received nothing. And I think, as has been the practice of this council, that we cannot discuss anything that we have not seen. I need to see the document. I need to read the document. And I cannot do that if I don't have it. And I do not think that anybody should address a document that we do not have.
So Alderman Taveras, to your point, if you simply had just said you wanted everybody to have access to the document and you wanted people, I had no problem mailing it out or sending it out to everyone and in a timely fashion. So if you want to speak to that point, go ahead. But again, you're asking people to talk about a document that some of them don't have.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Before the holidays, I sent you a letter on December 17th that I hoped would advance our efforts in the map room. You responded saying that you've consistently encouraged aldermen to come to the map room. So now both of those letters are now in the public record. And along with those letters, I also submitted a list of dates that I went into the map room and a list of dates that aldermen who have sponsored the Chicago Coalition map went into the map room. And collectively, we have worked in the map room at least 62 times. So, Madam Chair, I am more than willing to go back to the map room again. And the co-sponsors of the Chicago Coalition map are also willing to return to the map room. But we want to make sure we understand your expectations. And so the letter that I've sent, I've suggested that I believe that if we can agree on a set of protocols for how to conduct our work in the map room, we can make progress on that work. Are you willing to agree to a set of protocols that will guide our work in the map room, Madam Chair?
I am not willing to set on a standard set of protocols that I cannot and have no way to enforce. So having said that, until everybody gets the letter, I want everybody to read the letter so they're clear on what you're asking for. So you're trying to get me to agree to a letter that a process by which 35 other aldermen have been down the path, followed and worked within a certain parameter, and now you want to give me a different set of parameters and say, hey, we want to do this way. And I think it's unfair to the other 35 who didn't get to sit in the room with the Black Caucus and the Latino Caucus and have a monthly meeting. So I can't agree to your protocols on the public record. Now, if you want to sit down and have a meeting and we can dialogue and discuss on what would be fair and what would be a fair process, I'm willing to do that.
Have you had an opportunity to review the 9 protocols that I have included in the letter that I
just
sent?
gave you my
Point of
answer,
information.
Alderman.
Point of information.
Go ahead, Alderman Hairston.
I do not appreciate this conversation being had about a document, about a process of which I do not have a copy and have not read.
All right, Alderman.
Well, the
you are
intent is
certainly
to lay out
correct.
the framework to ensure fairness in the map.
It doesn't matter what the intent is. We do not have a copy. So it should not be discussed in any size, shape, or form.
Well, I think we do need to discuss it to ensure that our
It doesn't
community
matter
is
what
included
you
in the
think.
process.
We
Okay,
do
so
not
as
have
the chair
a
of this
document.
meeting,
To ensure that our
as
community
the chair
is
of this
included in this
meeting,
process.
Alderman Tabarez, as the chair of this meeting,
I'd be
I'm
more
going
than
to
happy
take,
to read the letter.
as the chair of this meeting, we're going to table the discussion on the letter until everybody gets a chance to read it. That's fair.
Madam
Alderman
Chair, I
Jason
volunteer
Irvin.
to read the letter. I volunteer. to read the
Alderman
letter right
Jason
now.
Irvin has the floor.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Madam Chairman. Again, the process has not changed. This process has been employed, and folks that want to change the process at the 99th hour, when everybody else is worked in earnest, I think that is not fair to the balance of the members of this council. Again, the chairman has stated the room has been open. Individuals have an opportunity to come in and work and do things. There's no need for us to meet. We tried to meet 4 months ago and ask questions that you all refused to answer. So I think it's time for us to move forward. If you want to participate, participate. If you don't. But it's time for us to move forward. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Alderman Ramirez Rosa.
Thank you. Madam Chair, my understanding is that this hearing is to discuss the city of Chicago redistricting. I would argue that under the parameters of this meeting, that any conversation germane to that would be in order. And so I think that our colleague, Alderwoman Savannah Tabarez's comments are in order. They pertain to the subject matter for this hearing. I would also just like to add that at this point, the letter has been sent to both aldermen, plural, at cityofchicago.org. Again, I received the emails that are sent there. And I just forwarded to the ALD list, the ALDLIST, which we use consistently to correspond collectively as a council. So at this point, everyone should have it in their email in the normal, usual fashion in which letters are disseminated. So I certainly hope that this can be placed on file. It's the collegial thing to do. It's the normal thing that we do to place things on file. And I'll also state that, the substance of the letter is about, what are the parameters through which we can reach a compromise? As my colleague just laid out, we've consistently heard in this committee the statement that members of the Chicago Coalition Map have not been to the map room. That's simply not true. We've been there 62 times. 62 times we've been to the map room. And despite that fact, we have not been able to reach a compromise. And so it's not for lack of going to the map room. It's because we need to be able to establish parameters that will really lend themselves to a compromise. So I'm glad that my colleague has, submitted that letter, that she sent it to you. And I think it's important that our colleagues also be aware of the response that we received. Yeah, I feel like this is something that can be discussed at this moment. Everyone has received it in their email inbox. And regardless of whether or not they've received the letter, this discussion pertains to the subject matter for which this meeting was called. So I think that any conversation related to the redistricting process is in order. Thank you.
Alderman Vasquez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to kind of follow up on that, especially from comments from some of our colleagues. I think that's the nature of why these documents are being put on the public record. To what Alderman Ramirez Rosa just said, constantly we've been hearing in public hearings that nobody from the Latino caucus or part of the coalition map went to the map room. The documents here have dates and times of when all of us did, so that way it's just on the record as part of conversation. Yeah, it's a little bit, introducing the documents isn't new. Maybe the fact that some of these conversations are trying to be done in the public as opposed to on meetings where no one else is hearing them is new, but that's part of what we've been trying to do from the beginning, is to have an open conversation, put this stuff out into the public and be transparent about the process, because we do want to figure out a way to come to some resolution as a council. So I do understand that some members haven't read it yet. I am absolutely respectful of that. So maybe potentially a temporary recess so members can read it, and then we can come back and discuss might be a solution. But I just wanted to put that out there to the chair as a potential way to move forward.
So here's what I will say. If we're going to set up processes and procedures and make agreements on the public record, you got to send this through the Open Meetings Act. We will not be discussing anything that the public hasn't had access to see. It's a real violation of the Open Meetings Act to be talking about a process and procedures that we're going to establish and set up for anything, and the public not know that we're having a dialogue. Okay, having said that, Alderman Sposato.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sorry, my phone's ringing, everybody. I don't know how to mute. I don't know how to mute my new phones in my office. So I just wanted to make a comment about something, and this is something about our meetings that people keep calling about, and repeatedly keeps hearing people say, don't divide communities, don't divide communities. Well, this is just a point of information. We have 77 communities in the city of Chicago. We have 50 aldermen. Therefore, some communities are going to have to be divided. I represent 4 communities, but a smidget of 2 of them. One, there's 2 of us. Another one, there's 3 of us. Those 2 communities, they have a small percentage. But the 2 communities are basically like, 45% and 45% of my ward, which is Portage Park. We have 5 aldermen, and Dunning, we have 3 aldermen. So there's no way, shape, or form we can do this mapping by a single alderman 100% representing that community. And I just wanted to bring that out and say that, because people call all the time and say, don't divide communities. Well, there's no way possible that we're going to be able to not divide communities, because once again, 77 communities, 50 aldermen. So with that, thank you very much for letting me have my say. Happy New Year, everybody, and look forward to continue on with this meeting.
Thank you. And so for the record, let me make myself crystal clear. I have no problem with making either of the letters part of the public record. But for us to get into the meat and the bones and talk about, have an open dialogue on this, we're going to have to either push it over to our Tuesday meeting. So and I don't even know if we meet at this point, meet the Open Meetings Act to discuss any kind of processes and procedures that you all want to establish today. I think we need to move it and postpone it to another meeting date. So other than that, I have no problem with putting the letters and making them part of the public record at all. Alderman Solowski Garza.
Madam Chair, and thank you for having this meeting. I appreciate it. I would just like to say that, I just want to be assured, I want to move forward. I agree with my colleague, Alderman Irvin, that, we need to move forward. I agree with that wholeheartedly, but I'd like to, just say that when I drew a map, I gave it to the map room, and the 3 times that I've been in there, with my colleagues, I'm told, you can't move this way. And the map that was put up before me wasn't even the map that I drew with the map room. So I don't, this is my first time ever doing it. I'm told you can't move this way, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this. So I just feel like when I go in there, I sit there and I'm not able to go any way, I'm not able to go anywhere. So I feel like I'm stuck here, and I'd like to just, be reassured that if we, in the spirit of true collaboration, that we do go in with all of our neighbors and that we do collaborate, because, obviously we're at this stalemate, and people are going to have to, move or budge or go left, right, east, west, north, south. I just want to make sure that I'm just not going in there and being told over and over, no, you can't go this way. No, you can't do this. No, you can't do that. So that's all that I'm asking. And I'd be happy to go in with everybody that surrounds me. I just want to make sure that we're all in the spirit of collaboration, working towards the same goal. That's all. Thank you.
I'm sure your neighbors will be happy to go in there with you, Alderman Garza. Alderman Laspada.
Yes, thank you. So, Chair, just as a point of clarification, it isn't to discuss the process of redistricting, regardless of what is in any such letter. To discuss the process of redistricting isn't a violation of the Open Meetings Act, correct?
Number one, let me make this crystal clear. You have a document that you want me to sit down and create a process on, which was not told to the public that we will be talking about creating a process by which we would create rules and regulations for the map room, which is something I feel is an Open Meetings Act violation. We should, if we're gonna talk about it and set up rules and procedures and make it public, the public has a right to know we're gonna have that dialogue.
I feel like I may have misstated my question. So let's set aside, even in this moment, the existence of any letter to discuss the process of redistricting. Is that a violation of the Open Meetings Act?
To have a discussion about the mapping is not. I mean, you're welcome to make all the comments you want. You're welcome to comment on the process all day long. But when we start talking about creating processes and procedures for mapping, the public has a right to be a part of that process. And it's noted that we're going to discuss what the mapping process should look like. Or the map room. You all to say I'm not transparent. The public didn't know we having this dialogue.
No, well, they knew that it would be a public hearing on redistricting.
Yeah, but I'm supposed to tell them when we're going to talk about specifics of certain actions. I'm supposed to tell them that we're having a dialogue about Alderman Tabaras's letter about a process that she wants to create in the mapping room.
So
and the public doesn't know. So, I mean, I've already agreed that I have no problem with making these letters part of the public process.
No, that's no problem, Chair. Let's set aside in this moment even the existence of a letter. Let's talk about the process of redistricting. So we have been told many times, and I'm someone who prior to our map being introduced, the Rules Committee wouldn't even, or at least the attorney representing the Rules Committee, let's be clear, would not show me what the first ward map looked like on my 5 previous visits to the map room. Part of my concern is related to the concept of locked-in maps. And we know from previous hearings that locked-in is not a term of the law, it's a term of preference and process. So I would like to understand, since we have not voted on a map either in committee or in the council as a whole, are there ward maps that are currently considered as locked in, or is every ward map at least somewhat malleable?
At this point, what you need to do is get in a space with your neighbors and have them to unlock their boundaries by therefore working with you, by being in a process and having the give and take that happens in a map room. So you have to have the ability to get with your neighbors. That should not be the alderman, Michelle Harris, leading the charge of saying, hey, go in the room with this alderman, because you didn't like it when I grouped you all together. That was a problem. Why am I in a group with these folks? So you should create the groups in the space that you want to work with. That process, everybody's that's drawn a map kind of understands that process, that it's a give and take. In the past, when you draw with a group, they come and drop their map in, and then everybody else that you touch kind of works with you on tweaking the boundaries all around you. So you're going to have to get in a space and work with your neighboring alderman to draw a map that works for you.
Okay. I again apologize because I feel like I've been unclear in my question, and I take that on myself. To the best of your knowledge, Chair, are there ward maps that are considered locked in, or is?
And I think I answered that question when I said go into the space and work with your neighboring alderman.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
Okay, Alderman Tabares.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to take you up on your offer to meet. Can we set up a time to meet? Because your
Sure, I'll
response
have
to-
my staff reach out to your staff.
Because your response to my letter did not address our specific concerns, and we need to make sure that all members of the Rules Committee are on equal footing. Do you agree that?
Alderman, I'd be happy to sit down and have this dialogue with you, and I'll have my staff reach out to your staff. Who would you like for them to reach out to?
Because one of the suggested protocols asked the Rules Committee to encourage aldermen to be flexible and to compromise. Do you agree that the Rules Committee should be encouraged?
And I've been asking everyone to be flexible and to compromise. I've asked everyone to be flexible and compromise. And as Chairman Austin is on here, I'm gonna use her. She gave up her ward to be flexible and to compromise. So everybody's being asked to be flexible and compromise. I just hope that the other side will be flexible too and compromise also. So I'd like to, if you give me the name of a staff person, Alderman Tabares, I'll be happy to. Who's your staff person you want us to reach out to?
And so therefore you agree that the Rules Committee map can be changed based on the work we do in January in the map room.
Trying to build a case or something. What is this?
I think they are.
Sure it does, Walter. It absolutely does. I'm in agreement with Walter. But what are we doing here? You know, this bantering back and forth, that's not fair. Let's move on.
Okay,
Point of order.
Okay, Alderman Harris. Woo-hoo, Alderman Harris. Alderman Harris has agreed to meet with Alderman Tabares and to talk about this. So our next speaker, Alderman Irving.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was just trying to see if we could move forward. I think that the issue's been thoroughly discussed, and if you're going to meet with them, then so be it. Could we move forward with any information that we have from our attorney and from the maps, and so that we can move this ball forward? Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, there's still 2 hands up. Alderman Cardenas, followed by Alderman Lopez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In the spirit of collaboration, I hope that let's move forward does not mean take it or
Alderman
leave it.
Beal, okay. I'm sorry, Alderman Cardenas, followed by Alderman Beal, then Alderman Lopez.
Thank you. I think in the spirit of collaboration, and I do address the full council, is that when we speak words of let's move forward, I hope that does not mean take it or leave it. In my opinion, I think putting the letter into the record is a small token of being democratic and collaborative. I don't see an issue with it. We don't have to take action on it, but it just means that, yeah, okay, we take your point and we'll discuss it if we rule on such discussions. It doesn't mean anything else except that I hear you. It's going to be in the public domain. Price is going to pick up on it, and I'll probably make more of it than what it is, than we're making it out to be. So, I think I disagree with this take it or leave it positions, because we don't have a map that will become law at this point. If we did, then we would have voted on it. So we need to work together on being collaborative and see if there's a path to have a map that we can vote on and live with. So that should be our aim at the moment. For example, I know that my neighbor, Patrick Thompson, and myself don't agree with our maps. And yeah, we still have a map that has not been changed according to our own political demographic desires. And I think that's a problem. So we need to be collaborative and work together. And we go into the map room. We need to be heard in a way that our neighbors are also happy so that we can get to a deal. So I hope that happens. I'll keep working with my colleagues on this path forward, as they call it. But again, I hope that does not mean take it or leave it, because we're not going to get to a map that's going to be signed into law. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Beal.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I just wanted to kind of reiterate what Alderman Garza stated, in that I know I was one of the first ones that went into the map room. I set an appointment and went in. I think I was probably one of the first 5. And I drew a map that I thought was sufficient. And, I haven't heard anything from anybody since that point. When we talk about going with your neighbors, Sawyers is my neighbor. Madam Chairman, you are my neighbor. Alderman Brookins is my neighbor. Alderman Garza is my neighbor. And I've never been invited to come into the map room with any of my neighbors. And so I don't know, are there a set of rules?
Point of information, you went in with me.
No, that was after the fact. You invited me in. You invited me in, Alderman Garza. So thank you for that clarification. But outside of that, I was not invited in the room with any of my neighbors other than Alderman Garza at that particular time. And so, are there a set of rules that we're going by, or are we just kind of going by the
Alderman, did you ask? You've been around a minute. Did you ask any of your neighbors to come in a space with you?
Well, I don't recall, Madam Chairman, you're the chairman.
No. But it's your ward. You're drawing a map. So if you want something from me and I want something from you, then just invite me into the space and say, hey, Alderman, hey, can we all get in the room? People bundled up and did all of that during the mapping process. So
okay, so they are.
Why don't you invite some people to come in the room and map with you?
Okay. Right. So you have to invite people. So there aren't a set of rules and regulations that we're abiding by.
Alderman Beal, you've been around long enough to know this process, and the process hasn't changed. Get in the room, work with your neighbors to draw a map that you could live with, not that you love. I don't want people to be under the misguided in this process if anybody got a map that they're gonna really love. Okay. So get in the room and draw with your neighbor.
Well, Madam Chairman, I appreciate that. But this is my 3rd map that I've gone through, and typically seniority, knowing that I'm number 4 in seniority in the city, seniority, really had a lot to do with how the map was drawn. And so I figured by me going in with my seniority, that if somebody wanted to intrude on the boundaries outside of my seniority, that I should have received a phone call instead of something just done and presented to me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Lopez. Alderman Lopez.
I'm here, Chairman. Thank you. Sorry. Not to get too into the fray, because I think we've beaten this topic to death, but I just want to know what role is this committee having moving forward with regards to discussions in the next subsequent meeting? Just so that I understand. Well-
we're in public hearing process. So we're trying to get the public to come in because being honest, each and every one of us has an opportunity to sit down and talk with any of your colleagues anytime. And I think to get on the public, wait, you asked me now. To get on the public and have this kind of dialogue when we can sit in a space and we can talk to each other and talk about things and work it out instead of having a kind of public throw it in your face kind of issue. And I just think that this debate that we're having today is something that definitely can happen offline and should have happened offline. But since you want to have the public debate about it, I just think the public has a right to know what we're talking about. And so I don't know if that answers your questions, but that's kind of where I'm at with this. So are we going to move on now? Do you have something else that you want to talk about other than this letter? We've all agreed that already that one, I'm going to meet with Alderman Tavares. I already said that.
Chairman, I didn't bring up the letter. I was asking a different question.
Okay, what's your different question?
Before I get lumped into that, I'm asking, if there are issues with regards to setting up policies that you want to do moving forward in a deliberative committee setting, should we do that separately from these
So
here?
I would suggest that if you have that you send them to me so that we can make them part of a public conversation that the public will be aware that we're going to be discussing this. So just send it to me and then we'll put it out there. Okay. Alderman Thompson, followed by Alderman Irving and followed by Alderman Austin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think you hit a little bit on it. This is borderline embarrassing that we can't communicate with our own colleagues everything we're talking about in the public domain, which we could have. I do appreciate my colleague to the west, Alderman Cardenas. I have gone in and talked with my neighbors, and I appreciate their willingness to talk. I think my neighboring aldermen are fine. It's others that have an influence and concerns about my community. And I ask everyone to echo what you've said, is talk to your neighbors and let's go from there. And I do think where we can keep communities together, I've said it all along, we should. We've heard it over and over from our neighbors. And there should be, where we can, we should try to do that. So I appreciate it. And hopefully this debate will end and we can go back to work dealing with the issues in our own respective wards and deal with this issue put this behind us. So I appreciate it, Chair. Thanks. I know it's difficult and I appreciate you herding the cats, as they say.
Thank you. Alderman Irving.
I apologize. My hand's still up.
Okay. All right. Okay. Alderman Austin. Chairman Austin.
Okay, mine's ain't working so good either. To my colleague, Alderman Beal, I am more than willing to go into the map room with you anytime, any day. I went in with my other colleagues that's around me. So, because I've always said it, that there's no you without me, there's no me without you. So anytime that you want to go into the map room and discuss and do different maps and different boundaries and things, I am more than willing. More than willing. And I have said this to the Black Caucus, but I've said this to the council on a whole. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the one. And that means everyone. So because we all have to, as the chairman have said, give and take. You have to give somebody else have to take something else, because this is a compromise. This is not, I'm not going to have this and I'm not going to have that. This is just about a compromise. You may lose something that you have worked all this time on, just like I've worked on things. But I have to give because my neighbors need it and because I was the one that was leaving. So I felt that the needs of the entire was more important than my taking all of what I needed. Because I could have got 10,000, because I could have took it from everybody else. That would have been unfair. And we all have to be fair to each other and stop all of this unnecessarily bickering that we're doing. Because we have to present a map to the public. And it ain't about sticking out your challenges. We're gonna have challenges no matter what. So let's do this in a decent and in order. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman. Okay, so at this time, Mike Casper's going to make a presentation about the state decision.
Madam Chair.
Yes, who is that? Alderman Villegas.
Hey, how you
Vice
doing?
Chair. Hi.
I just have so on the agenda that we're talking about was not the attorney's presentation around a state partisan decision. Is he going to talk about Chicago wards and how this is relevant?
Yes, he is.
Okay, but it was not on the agenda. And so if we're in one breath going to talk about things that are not displayed on the agenda.
And you know what, Alderman, I have no problem. We could table it and then we could bring it up for the next meeting on the next agenda. So if that's the pleasure of of everybody, I'm fine with that. And then if there are no other, Alderman Urban.
I'm not fine with it, Madam Chair. I'd like to hear them.
I move to adjourn.
Second. People, we got to recognize the rules of order here. So if that's your position, Madam Chair, I move that we adjourn this meeting, and then you can set up whatever you like in the next meeting. That would be perfectly fine.
That's so moved, motion. Alderman Urban. Thank you. Our meeting is now adjourned.